Something I sort of mentioned towards the beginning of my discussion for last week's episode is how Attack on Titan, in terms of plot, has kept us guessing. We began the series by believing that humanity's sole enemy were these man-eating titans, but as time progressed, this once simple plot grew more complex and turned into, in my opinion, one of the most well-written stories out there at the moment. You see, what now threatens humanity, nay, the subjects of YMIR living within the walls of paradise, is no longer just a simple titan or a titan shifter. It's the entire world. Episode 58 of Attack on Titan begins right where episode 57 left off and continues the anime's adaptation of Attack on Titan's 22nd volume by first covering chapter 88, titled Attack Titan, or The Attack Titan. A chapter that continues the adaptation of one of my favorite stories, that being the ones of Grisha and Eren Kruger, despite them being relatively short. This chapter, and therefore the portion of the episode that covers this material in its essence, is relatively simple. We spend most of our time shifting from Grisha's and Kruger's conversation in the past to the present, where in their cells, Eren is relaying all the information he's getting from these memories back to Armin. And while simplicity can oftentimes be mistaken for uneventful or boring, Isayama makes sure that this is not the case. We get lots of information and big reveals this chapter. We even get a title drop in the series, which is fucking dope. Though most notably, the curse of YMIR is revealed, a curse that strikes any subject of YMIR who becomes one of the 9 Titans, which then leaves that person with only 13 years to live. Studio Wit also makes sure that this rather simple portion of the episode doesn't just become good due to the information that was given. Some of the landscape shots in this particular half of the episode were absolutely beautiful, though I will say I'm a bigger fan of these shots later on in the episode, as I find the colors used to represent the sun setting a lot more pleasant. In addition to those landscapes though, there were also some really solid single panel adaptations of Isayama's art, alongside some really amazing sequential ones as well. We still check in with Grisha and Kruger from time to time, but the story moves along from the cells to the meeting, where the Survey Corps and all of the other factions discuss the contents in these books to try and figure out the next course of action. As I mentioned, this chapter is quite similar to the previous one, as in the grand scheme of things, nothing happens. But again, Isayama just can't put out a bad chapter where nothing happens, it seems, and so this chapter also contains a lot of information. Though most notably, for us manga readers, I do believe this is where the paths theories first began. And also, this chapter is where us manga readers first got told about YMIR's past. The information you, anime-onlys, got back in episode 35, or episode 10 of season 2, which I believe covered chapter 47, had there been no changes made, you would not have gotten that until now. The story of YMIR's past is originally a part of YMIR's letter to Historia, in addition to everything else that Historia read in the episode. And to me is still, to this day, the biggest change in this series so far. But anyway, what I love most about this chapter is not only the dialogue and conversation, but I love how this chapter captures Eren and his emotions. And of course, the staff over there at Studio Wit have always been great at translating that into the anime. And the reason I bring this up is because for this episode, for the first time this half of the season, I do believe, I want to talk about Eren, the main character, because he's still a thing, you know? But particularly, I want to talk about how all this new information has affected him. Mainly because I've always seen this narrative of Eren being a gigantic bitch in this story. And while I do certainly think that everybody is entitled to their own opinion, I also think that the people who do push that narrative may not be used to seeing the protagonist in a series, especially what's considered a shonen series, pushed mentally to a state of vulnerability the way Eren has. As I mentioned in the beginning, the plot of Attack on Titan has been ever changing, and I don't think it's unreasonable for me to say that Eren's motivation, or better yet his purpose, has changed alongside the plot. Take for instance what I believe to be the most notable shift in Eren's purpose, which came in the first season within the first 7 episodes, I do believe. After Carla's death, Eren becomes a person who, with a burning passion, wants to exterminate the Titans. And it's in these first 7 episodes where Eren, whom would just be a regular piece in that story, becomes the focal point of a much broader one, and alongside that, shoulders a lot more responsibility than I think he ever imagined. Though even when the concept of shifters and who they were revealed, the plot didn't change too much, I dare say. And here's where we get to where we currently are in the story. The information Eren has been getting recently through the memories of his father are game-changing. Eren plenty of times has stumbled upon a purpose, but he finally knows the reason his father has done everything that he's done. Eren now knows the truth. His purpose isn't just to fight for the humanity inside the walls. His purpose is to, as how all the previous holders of the Attack Titan have, fight for the freedom of the subjects of YMIR. And we can see how this truth affects him. This once wide-eyed kid with a heart that could set the world ablaze is now numbed. It's almost as if all that passion, all that heart, all that fire was just zipped away. And granted, figuring out that you have about 8 years to live and that the freedom of the rest of your race is being kept away from them can and will do that to a person. Eren is absolutely going through it. Or is he? Is it possible that what I just took for a lack of heart or passion is actually an overwhelming calmness? Is Eren now, more than ever before, ready to accept his responsibility? Is Eren ready to fulfill his purpose? As always, these are my thoughts, and I'm curious to read yours. If you're an anime only, let me know how you felt about this episode and any predictions you may have. I'm quite curious to read your anime only theories now that Paths has been truly introduced and those final lines Kruger has at the end of the episode have been said. So give me your best theories and let me know how you feel about Eren. Do you think he's a wimp, or do you think he's acted as any reasonable human being would? And if you're a manga reader, let me know how you felt Studio Wits adapted this episode and what parts do you think they could have done a better job with, if any. Also, please feel free to discuss anything I forgot to mention in the comments below. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, it helps the channel out a lot. And also feel free to follow me on Twitter, link will always be in the description. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit that bell. That way you don't miss a video and can continue watching Attack on Titan and many other series with me. And with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.